Between 12 and 15% of all global maritime trade passes through this single, narrow trench in the Egyptian desert. If you measure it by shipping containers alone, that volume reaches 30%. By cutting directly from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, ships eliminate 8,900 kilometers of travel between the Arabian Sea and London. This 193-kilometer-long, 24-meter-deep lockless channel serves as the physical border between Africa and Asia. If you want to understand how the world actually works and the invisible systems that keep it running, you should subscribe to this channel. Because of its depth, this waterway accommodates the entire world's container ship fleet, operating as the physical conveyor belt for the global economy. That conveyor belt carries the essentials of modern survival: 20% of global rice exports, 15% of the world's wheat, and millions of barrels of seaborne crude oil and liquefied natural gas every single day. When ships are forced to avoid this route, they navigate around the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa. That detour adds 4,000 nautical miles to a voyage and keeps a vessel at sea for an extra 10 to 15 days. Pushing a massive cargo ship at full speed for 2 extra weeks burns massive amounts of fuel. For a single voyage, the bill for that extra fuel alone can reach $1 million. Shipping companies absorb those millions in fuel costs and operational delays until those routing penalties can be passed on. This translates immediately into global inflation, hitting the shelves of consumer markets worldwide. Operating a structure this dense with high-value traffic requires absolute control. The Egyptian government handles this through the state-owned Suez Canal Authority, or SCA, which is solely responsible for operating, maintaining, and securing the megastructure. Traffic here does not operate as a free-for-all. To prevent collisions in the narrow waterway, the SCA orchestrates highly synchronized daily convoys, sending strict groupings of northbound and southbound ships through at specific times. They also enforce a mandatory pilotage system. Before entering the tightest channels, specialized Egyptian pilots physically board the transiting cargo ships to take over navigation and guide the crews through the specific bends and shifting soil. Yet all of the SCA's internal security means nothing if ships can't safely reach the canal. The entire system relies heavily on the security of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the narrow geographic choke point at the southern entrance of the Red Sea. Managing this waterway is an exercise in operational precision. A single human error inside the channel, or an external threat at the southern strait, can sever the artery entirely. This artery has been severed before. In 1956, the Egyptian state abruptly seized the canal from its European shareholders, triggering an immediate international military invasion. A decade later, geopolitical conflict led to a closure that lasted from 1967 to 1975. The navigable channel was blocked entirely by wrecked and intentionally sunken vessels. Caught in the middle of that 1967 closure was the Yellow Fleet, a group of 14 international cargo ships trapped in the canal's Great Bitter Lake. They sat there, rafted together, for 8 full years. With the primary shipping route closed for nearly a decade, the maritime industry adapted. Engineers designed the supertanker, vessels built massive enough to carry economies of scale that made the long detour around the Cape of Good Hope viable. Physical blockages happen in the modern era too. In 2021, an ultra-large container vessel named the Ever Given lost steering and wedged diagonally across the channel, paralyzing the canal for 6 days. Disruptions here, whether from a grounded ship or a regional conflict, instantly surge global war risk insurance premiums and force the industry to redraw global shipping maps. How the canal operates under normal conditions is counterintuitive. Unlike the Panama Canal, which lifts ships over mountains using mechanical locks, the Suez is a sea-level trench that must manage complex, shifting seasonal and tidal currents. Opening that sea-level trench created a biological shortcut. The waterway acts as an unintentional conduit, sparking a massive migration of marine species from the Red Sea into the Mediterranean. To protect the physical structure, pilots enforce strict low-speed limits. If massive cargo vessels move too quickly, the volume of water they displace will violently erode the fragile desert banks. Even paying to use it is complicated. Toll calculations aren't priced strictly in US dollars. They are pegged to special drawing rights, a specialized basket of major international currencies designed to hedge against global currency fluctuations. The canal operates as a sensitive biomechanical and economic ecosystem, where the physical displacement of water is as carefully calculated as the currency used to pay for it. If that balance fails, the timeline of a long-term closure is immediate. Massive vessel queues form in the open ocean. In week 1, spot freight rates spike, and just-in-time manufacturing, which relies on parts arriving exactly when needed, begins to collapse. By month 1, the global shipping network loses roughly 20% of its total carrying capacity, simply because ships are spending extra weeks at sea. Corporate inventory buffers worldwide run dry. In Asia, export bottlenecks emerge. Without ships arriving to drop off empty containers, a severe shortage paralyzes the manufacturing hubs of China and India. Meanwhile, Europe faces immediate energy supply crises as oil and LNG shipments are delayed. Transshipment volumes across major Mediterranean ports collapse as the cargo simply stops arriving. A single localized blockage rapidly mutates. It simultaneously collapses Egypt's toll revenues, surges global oil prices, and triggers severe food inflation in nations that rely on those delayed grain shipments. This narrow trench in the desert functions as the indispensable linchpin for global trade, carrying the fuel, food, and manufactured goods the modern world demands. There is no perfectly viable alternative route. Any attempt to bypass it incurs staggering financial costs and heavy environmental penalties. Our pursuit of shipping efficiency has weaponized our own geography, creating a global supply chain that's faster and more susceptible to a single point of failure. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more deep dives into the mechanics of the modern world, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.